Today I want to run you through two super clean CRT trades that played out this week exactly how Cascade trading methodology said they would. The first was this 3-hour short on gold. This was actually a higher time frame continuation trade. The next was a 2.7-hour winner on USDCAD. That was actually a higher time frame accumulation, manipulation, distribution, but both fully respected Cascade trading methodology. So I want to run you through both trades and also show you something that I've just launched, candlerange.com. It is a live structure terminal for CRT traders that literally shows you what is printing from the 1-hour time frame up to the 12-month time frame in the market right now for every single pair, Forex pairs, metals, Bitcoin. So let's get started. So this is gold. I want to show you exactly why this was a valid Cascade trading methodology trade, but still a CRT trade. So this is the 1-hour time frame. Like any time frame, if we're looking at this in isolation, we can tell very little from what price wants to do. We need to overlay the higher time frame candles. And the first thing I want to show you is the daily candle, because it actually paints a story that is against the trade that was actually the right trade to take. So what are we seeing on the daily time frame? So we have right here a very bearish daily candle that sells off. You see the 1-hour price action trading downwards. Price is selling off and it creates this daily candle right here. This candle closed below its previous candle. So it's a continuation candle. So what we're now expecting price action to do, to continue lower, which is what happens. Price trades into the external range liquidity at the low of the previous daily candle. It then consolidates and reverses throughout this specific trading day, and it prints right here. So this is where the daily candle closes. And what are we seeing at this point? We're seeing active manipulation. We have accumulation, price stings into the low of the previous daily candle, reverses and closes inside the previous daily candle's range. So from a CRT perspective, what we might be looking at on the daily time frame is this: for price to respect that manipulation and trade to the high of the previous accumulation candle. Accumulation, manipulation, and now distribution. So why does price not do this? Well, this is where Cascade trading comes in, because we don't want to just look at the daily time frame. We need to understand how this accumulation and manipulation has printed within the context of other timeframes. So to demonstrate this and to show you why a short was actually the right trade to take, I'm just going to overlay a different candle. This is now the 2-day candle. So at the exact same point that the daily candle closed with active manipulation, so did the 2-day candle. And what is the 2-day candle? It's a bearish continuation candle. So price sold off here throughout this 2-day period. Yes, this was daily manipulation, but the 2-hour candle is saying we want to continue lower. And where do we want to continue lower to? The low of the previous candle, because continuation candles want to continue. So if I overlay now the 2-day and the daily together, we have these 2 days that make up the 2-day candle. The first is a potential accumulation candle. The second is a manipulation candle. Daily price action traders are now looking for price to run to the accumulation candle high. But the truth is the 2-day is not ready to reverse. The 2-day is still looking to trade lower. So what does price do? It trades into the high of the previous daily candle and then dumps aggressively to this level here, which is the invalidation of the daily manipulation candle. Because if you're a position trader, the most basic form of taking a position on this daily entry, and we take away the 2-day candle, what are you looking to do? You're looking to get involved somewhere around here, covering this low to trade to this high. So what does price action need to do? It needs to trap anyone that's looking for this long and aggressively distribute to their stop loss, because that is where liquidity is sitting. And that's exactly the story that the 2-day candle printed. So now if we take this away, how do we actually execute this trade? So if I just remove all of this, what we just see is this 2-day candle prints right here. We're looking for continuations. The 1 hour at this point is bullish, but what we see is price action shift. we get this buy to sell, and then you get the formation of order flow. So we have fair value gaps starting to expand lower on the 1 hour time frame. We then get another 1 hour order block. You see the buy to sell. Price trades in, it's trapping anyone looking to get long. They're thinking this is now the move to start that expansion towards the daily accumulation candle high. But that is not the case. Price is trading into this order block to then distribute lower again. What do we then get again? Another buy to sell. That is the entry. So you're entering at the order block, covering the high, and you know price wants to distribute aggressively to this continuation candle low. And there's the trade, 3R. So this is using the methodology of cascade trading to not just accept that an AMD is printed on one time frame, but to understand what is actually printing around that AMD to give it structural context. Is it supported, or is it actually in a hostile cascade stack? And that's exactly what candlerange.com brings to you for every single time frame. So right here, this is candlerange.com, and you can go and sign up for this right now. What this does is it shows you every single pair, including Forex pairs, metals, Bitcoin. And you can see here, you've got the 1 hour, the 2 hour, the 4 hour, and so on. So if we were looking for this exact same setup, we can just use the filters in the cockpit to actually understand what is giving us this setup in the market right now. So for example, we could say, we just want to look at 12-hour candles. And we want to look at candles that are continuation candles that are hunting their lower timeframes. And straight away, we get options. This is not saying that these are necessarily definitely going to play out, but it gives you the exact structural context you need to take trades from an in-form position. Secondly, if you want to trade, for example, 4-hour AMDs, it's very easy. You just select 4 hour, you select AMD, and then you get the chance to narrow down even further based on specific structural context, which I'm going to run through on this channel over the next few days. But what we can see right now is if you're looking to trade 4-hour AMDs, you don't need to sit on just gold or just Euro USD and wait for these setups. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 right now live in the market. And Cascade and Candle Range tells you exactly where they are and where to look. So I want to show you now how Cascade trading transcended into a USDCAD trade that also played out this week. So this is a 2.7R long. This played out on USDCAD. And this was not a higher time frame continuation. This was classic accumulation, manipulation, distribution. But how do we actually bring this to life? Because again, we're just looking at 1 hour price action, which tells us very little. So I'm just going to back out of this and again, show you the daily candle. So at this particular point, which is where we were looking for that expansion, what is the daily story? Well, we can see we have this candle here. This is a daily continuation candle. Why? Because it printed above its previous candle. Here's the high of the previous candle, and it ran the high of the previous candle. It didn't sweep this liquidity and look to reverse. It ran it. So what are we now expecting? We're expecting price to find support and run this high before we invalidate the candle. But we need to look down the timeframes to understand, is the rest of the structure across the cascade, across the different timeframes also aligning? So if we bring in now the 12-hour timeframe, which is the timeframe that sits directly below the daily timeframe, what are we seeing? So this daily candle has just printed, but the 12-hour timeframe has printed a bearish accumulation manipulation. You see price ran the previous candle, but then price action swept the liquidity at the high of this 12-hour candle, and it reversed and closed inside. So at this specific time, the daily candle is saying we want to continue, but the 12-hour candle is saying, no, we want to reverse to complete this active accumulation, manipulation, distribution. So it's a point to just sit on our hands and wait. What happens next? Price creates this inside bar, and then eventually we get fresh context, a new manipulation, accumulation, manipulation, price closes right here. So now what we're seeing is the 12-hour time frame is aligned with the daily time frame. And again, we can just wait for 1 hour price action to show its hand. So we get sell to buy. And then what do we get? An order block right here and the formation of a fair value gap. So this is candle 1, the high of candle 1. This is the low of candle 3. And you can see right here, there's a gap in price. This is internal range liquidity. The price is going to sting into respect before it trades to the higher time frame completion target. So that's your entry. It's not an order block entry this time. It's a fair value gap entry. Cover the swing point, and you can either trade to the 12-hour target, 2.48R, or the daily continuation target, which is a 2.89R trade. So these are two completely different trades. For gold, we were actually looking at targeting a week daily AMD and riding the 2-day continuation. That played out for 3R. In this context, we're riding the daily context, but using the 12-hour as our refinement mechanism to get into another high probability 2.89R trade. And again, you can come to candle range and you can find these setups. They live in the market right now. 12-hour AMD. There are a lot of 12-hour AMDs that you could be looking to trade right now. And the point of candle range is not to tell you whether you should or shouldn't trade, is to give you structural context so that when you click into this 12-hour AMD, you can see, actually, is it clean? Is it mixed? Is it hostile? Is the daily time frame, the 2-day time frame, actually aligning with what the 12-hour wants to do? Or actually, do those time frames want to kill this setup? And that's what candlerange.com gives you. You can try it for free, but if you want that context, then you have to sign up for a pro plan. So free gets you access to the Cascade, but for $59 a month for the first 100 pro members, you can get full access to pair page analytics, the Cascade, the cockpit filters. And over the next couple of days and weeks, I'm going to be going incredibly deep on all of the different setups that exist in candle range. You've got parent fuel, nested sweeps. These are some of the highest probability AMDs that you can trade. Parent target, when children are actually looking to kill their parents. AMD hunting. The use of fair value gaps and how they relate to active AMDs and continuations. So it sounds like a lot, but I'm going to go into this in detail. But if you want to start actually using candle range, head over now. It's candlerange.com. See you on the next one.